podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Manchester United leaving it very late, but Romelu Lukaku did get to have his moment in the sun, took a direct free kick, which Everton fans all jeered when it hit the wall, then scored and was like, eat my goal.
Yeah. Are we going to talk about Everton first? I mean,
it's just happened.
It's just bizarre, really. I mean, United played very well in the first half. Nice intensity. Yeah. Really should have had another 3 goals, I think. 4-0 at half-time wouldn't have been too flattering, really, given the amount of chances. Played like absolute dog turd in the second half. Got all conservative and scared, a bit like a performance from last year or perhaps even the year before, and somehow managed to score 3 goals in the second half. And one was absolutely gifted by Everton. Lukaku's goal was outrageous fortune twice. And then the penalty, which was ridiculous because Schneiderlin fell on the ball. But there you go. That's kind of magic Mourinho brings, isn't it?
I was super mad at Mourinho just before those 3 goals. I was like, Mourinho bringing on Lingard and Herrera when the game needed an injection of attacking intensity. But in the end, it turns out, once again, Jose Mourinho is better at managing football teams. Or either that or just got lucky.
Yeah, well, it might have been PlayStation football. You know that when you tap all the buttons at once and the player falls over. This is PlayStation 1997 edition. Tap all the buttons at once and they go flying all over the place. That's the kind of thing that was happening. Look, United didn't deserve to win 4-0 on the basis of that second half performance. But the goals came, and that's what's been happening this season. It's remarkable how often United are scoring a lot of goals late in games.
Yeah, that's true. I'm currently looking for a tweet because I'm trying to find out who sent me the tweet that says, I see United are still much better with Rooney off the pitch, because it was after he left that all the goals started flying in.
He had a quiet game. I mean, a couple of nice touches, one round the corner and sort of 1-2, wasn't it? Wall pass that he nearly turned into a chance. A couple of other nice flicks. Most of the time he was playing at number 9 and he was drifting really deep, which Everton had no centre forward at all. Which wasn't really helping them much. I mean,
I was just doing the tweet for banter, but we've used this now as a genuine excuse to slightly bash Rooney's performance for no reason whatsoever. It's just what we do. It's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the other end, Lukaku actually didn't have a great game. It was. I thought actually most of United's forwards were a little bit off. Mkhitaryan, I thought, was lucky to stay on, and because he didn't have a great game. Juan Mata struggled to have any kind of influence, and Rashford was unusually quiet. A couple of runs, but not an awful lot there, and it all seemed to break down about 40 yards from goal a lot of the time. I mean, until those 3 goals came right at the end, United hadn't had a shot on target in the second half. I mean, unbelievable, really. But, there you go. It's slightly dysfunctional from a number of United players. So, not just bashing Rooney for the sake of it, although, why not?
Yeah, that tweet originally came from @CentralMUFC. It was a good tweet. I completely agree about United's attacking players. At the end of half-time, I was sort of a bit frustrated with the response on Twitter. I mean, that's a silly thing to be frustrated about, but there's so much really intense criticism of like Rashford and Mkhitaryan in particular. And I was thinking, they're both players who need to be able to make mistakes, and they need to be able to have quiet periods in games. It's the nature of being an attacking player. And, in the end, Mkhitaryan scored and sort of began the rout, really. That was United's second. It all happened so fast, it's hard to remember. And even, you're right, Lukaku, there was the chance that he missed, but he did very well to kind of open the chance up for himself. And then there was the one where he kind of his chest control went a bit wrong and it bounced up too high. That was a dodgy moment. But his pass to Mkhitaryan was absolutely lovely. And the kind of interplay we didn't necessarily know we were going to get from Lukaku, but the kind that he's done quite a lot of so far this season. It's very nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, that second goal was stroke of real fortune. Ashley Williams playing the ball into Fellaini's shins. I'm assuming Fellaini was trying to control it as it bounced 5 yards off his shins.
He was all right. Come on.
No, he did all right. I mean, I was having a moan before the game because not about Fellaini per se, but about Paul Pogba being out, because it really does affect United's fluency. And during the first half, Fellaini was fine. He provided a platform with Matic, and United tried to move the ball at pace, some intensity. The second half, it just felt like too many of those players in midfield were just sitting back and letting Everton come into the game, and Fellaini was one of those, I suppose. He was pretty good against Basel in midweek, so we'll come on to praising him as well, I suppose.
Yeah, and you kind of think that's what earned him the place in the starting 11. I mean, we're inherently jumping around here a bit, but that's what always happens when we miss a podcast. To go back to the Basel game, he really was excellent as a replacement for Pogba. Like, it's this thing that he has in him. I think we've talked about this many times on the podcast. It's the kind of the 1 in 10 factor with Fellaini, where every now and again it just all clicks and he finds a big level of confidence and everything he tries comes off and he just looks like an excellent player. And it tends to then dissipate fairly quickly because that is not his overall consistent level. But it's great that he found that level when it was needed against Basel. But obviously, the big talking point for that game, the 3-0 win, was nice, and everyone went home from Old Trafford feeling good about that one, if perhaps a bit concerned about the complete lack of atmosphere in that game, taking lack of atmosphere to a whole new level. But Pogba's injury, which we now are hearing, we're recording this after the Everton game on Sunday, talk of 12 weeks for Pogba. That is really seriously bad news.
Yeah, that's not what Mourinho said in public, although the reports behind the scenes, apparently. In public, he said a few matches. 12 weeks was just a very serious hamstring tear, which isn't exactly what it looked like at the time, did it? He went off, but it's not like he was on a stretcher and couldn't move at all. So we'll see. It's it's a huge blow for United. He's going to, if it is 12 weeks, he's going to miss pretty much the whole of the Champions League campaign and games against all the top clubs.
Yeah, which it really does put a dampener on the excitement that has been surrounding the start of our season. Although I guess some of that dampener had already been applied at Stoke earlier, where United were distinctly average. So that was the game immediately after the international break. And I have to say, when I saw the team sheet, I was immediately nervous. Not that it was a terrible selection or there were very bad players picked, but there was a certain statement, kind of reverse statement of intent from Mourinho, which was something of a worry. For the first time this season, he moved away from the 4-2-3-1 to a 4-3-3 with Herrera, Pogba and Matic, the kind of midfield that we all wanted at the start of the season. But it felt like kind of a regressive step, especially when it was combined with dropping Blint and playing Darmian on the left flank, which is obviously a very defensive-minded move. And it seemed like he was affording a degree of respect to Stoke, which they didn't necessarily deserve. Now, you could say that Stoke's performance sort of validated that decision because they were pretty good, particularly in the second half, but it almost felt like, actually, I would like to have seen us just put that 4-2-3-1 on the pitch and just put the throttle down and try and batter them, because I think we could have done.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much of it was the system per se. I mean, no natural number 10 in there, so no real focal point in midfield. Although Pogba had a fine game, I thought, in midfield. I mean...
Really? I mean, I'll defend Pogba to the hilt, but I thought he was pretty garbage in that game, to be honest.
I mean, he got forward. He was decent with his passing, got an assist. Something anyway. I mean, look, United would have won that game if it wasn't for individual errors, though. So both Jones and Bailly at fault for the first goal, and Jones very much at fault for the second. So it's it's not what we've had from them this season, though, is it? Those two have been pretty good. It looked like a nice pairing when they've played. Which wasn't in the European game, and I guess it won't be in the next European game. I can't remember exactly how many games they're banned for, but it's definitely not the best defensive performance from United. Generally, pretty frustrating.
Yeah. Yes. No, you're absolutely right. And United had, dominated the lion's share of possession. Mourinho afterwards thrown his toys out the pram, saying there's only one team trying to win it, and all this kind of stuff. But I don't know, that you're right, it wasn't the system. And my long rambling point about the system wasn't even really a criticism of the system. It was just to say that, honestly, when I saw the team sheet, I had a little bit of a I had kind of a bad feeling about this game anyway, and that definitely didn't help. It makes sense because Stoke were playing three at the back, and it was a way of kind of going man for man with the front three, and potentially overrunning the centre of midfield too, but it just didn't work. Even though United had the lion's share of possession, there was a flakiness to their overall performance. I thought there were a number of really poor individual performances. Ander Herrera, who I love to the ends of the earth, I thought was terrible in that game. Just looked like a player who hasn't had nearly enough football and needs his
he's barely had any football this season.
Yeah.
So after having such a spectacular season last season, clearly Mourinho's decided he's deputy to Matic, who has a very good injury record. So Herrera's not going to get a lot of football this season, it seems. Well, we'll see. Things change, of course. They changed a lot for Herrera last season, who didn't start the campaign in the side either.
No.
That was pretty disappointing, Stoke, and felt like a loss of momentum, I guess, given that United started the season so strongly, and especially with City now winning games by miles and miles. It was two very large dropped points, made up somewhat, I suppose, in the midweek thrashing of Basel, who really don't look like the Basel of old. Not that they were ever that good, but, they've had a couple of seasons when they've been half decent. I wonder whether United will walk this group. So, it certainly seems that it's not going to be that higher quality.
I know the other result was weird, wasn't it? I can't even remember what the other result was, but I remember seeing it and thinking, oh, that's not the result I would have expected it to be. A dishonourable mention for Antonio Valencia's performance against Stoke as well. The 6 attempted crosses, none of which found a man. He looked, by the end of the game, he really looked like he just did not want the ball anymore. And it was lovely to see him restore his confidence in the most emphatic possible fashion at the beginning of the Everton game. And I thought that actually told in some of his performance against Everton. He looked a lot more confident than he had done by the end of the Stoke game, which is good news because when teams sit back, so much of our play ends up flowing out to the wings. Which against Basel resulted in the goals because Ashley Young's performance to assist, pound to assist ratio took a hit in favour of the assists as he got one against Basel from a right back position.
Someone asked me to do the recalculation. It's going to take a while. I'd have to work out all his wages over time. It's still not great value for money, got to say.
It's not. And then,
no, he did. Fellaini got a goal. Fellaini got an assist as well. Rashford on first sight of Rashford's goal, you think, wow, that's a super hit first time, but he bounced it into the ground. But a goal's a goal, isn't it? And actually, United created a lot of chances in that game. And had a ton of possession and were basically very good value for their win. CSKA Moscow winning at Benfica has put the cat amongst pigeons a little bit because they don't win on the road generally. I guess everyone expects Benfica to be fairly strong at home. I do wonder whether United will find this group pretty easy, although, we've got not a great record in Europe over the last few years. Europa League win last season aside.
Lovely, lovely moment when Romelu Lukaku scored his Champions League on his Champions League debut, and he just looked like I don't know. He just looked like a man who had fulfilled a lifelong dream, basically.
Well,
scoring a goal in the Champions League.
Talking of scoring on debuts, Rashford scored Champions League debut, scored on his Europa League debut, scored on his Premier League debut, scored on his England under-21 debut, scored on his England debut. Is there any competition he doesn't score on his debut in?
Yes, he did not score in his debut. He scored in his debut in the League Cup. He did not score in his debut in the FA Cup, but that game was a draw and he did score in the replay. So kind of even that almost counts. People were saying they were sad that there's no more debuts for him to come, but there's loads. There's his first Champions League start because he came on as a sub in that game. There's his first World Cup game. There's his first Club World Cup game. There's a lot to come for the young man.
Stretching a bit. There's his first La Liga game after his inevitable transfer to Real Madrid.
Yeah. He didn't do his attempt to get a move to Real Madrid too many favours with his performance against Everton. But he's so young and he has to be allowed to have bad games. He just has to. It's that's why Mourinho doesn't like young players, isn't it? Because they sometimes have bad games. And, of course, grown-up players do too. But, he looked like he was trying really hard. He does this thing when the game's not going for him. He goes to ground way too often and too quickly because I think maybe it's a kind of subtle confidence thing where he wants to earn a free kick rather than have to do something brilliant himself. Yeah,
true. Not a great game from Rashford. And obviously Martial was going to come on and score. Obviously. Mourinho making Martial take the penalty, which was kind of interesting. I guess, is that a confidence thing? Is he going to feel more confident? He scored a penalty? I'm not sure. Maybe. Lukaku's missed like all of his penalties of the last 7. So
yes, it might be. That might not be a pro Martial thing. That might just be if we score this goal, we go second in the league on alphabetical order and joint top on everything else.
Yeah. So how does this work out? So it's the same goal difference, the same goal scored, and the same conceded. So, and there's been no head-to-head.
No, I don't even. Is head-to-head used as a demarcator in the Premier League, or do they just go straight to the drawing of lots?
I don't know. I really don't know.
No, I think what there's a playoff. There's a playoff.
Is there a playoff?
Yeah.
If it's to win the league, there'd be a playoff.
Yeah, absolutely. But presumably the two sides will separate. I'm hesitant to mention this because obviously we're a relentlessly pro-Manchester United affair over here. But I think if you look at the XG of the relative of the two sides, you might say that City are likely to finish the league on top if the performances were to trend in the same way.
Nerds.
That's one, Tom, if you're counting.
Do we have an F-bomb counter now? We're turning to the day-to-day, haven't we?
The Everton game then, great first half or like very good first half with frustrating bits. Mkhitaryan has this tendency when he's like running on the ball to just hit one of his touches, sometimes first, sometimes second, out of his feet and then end the chance. But, he's playing at a very, very high level so far this season. I've seen people very critical of his overall performances and saying the numbers are kind of masking some deficiencies. And you could argue that, but you could also argue that no, he's just a kind of player. He's just a fancy nanny, right? He's just a really good player who does stuff that goes wrong sometimes.
Wow, you're going to have to take that back because he's going to have to go some Mkhitaryan to meet Nani's numbers over a sort of 2 or 3 year period. But yeah, he's got a few goals now this season, hasn't he, Mkhitaryan? I can't remember exactly.
One goal and 1 million assists, yeah. I think the official figures so far.
All right. Yeah, he's doing all right. I think there's some inconsistency in his performances. We'd like to see more of the good stuff and less of the bad stuff, I think. He wasn't... He scored a goal today, but he wasn't great.
No, but that's the whole point. That's the whole point. This is Mkhitaryan, isn't it? He's going to give the ball away sometimes, but then he's probably going to score or assist a goal almost all the time when he's playing, when he's in decent form and played in...
Yeah. But playing in the centre of midfield today, well, in sort of number 10 role.
He has done all
and he's
season.
He's a little bit bursty. He's not a classic number 10, is he? He doesn't dictate the play from there. And Mata on the right struggling to get in the game. I did wonder whether just swapping that around a little bit at times would have changed things. But no, clearly not one that Mourinho likes. He clearly likes Mkhitaryan through the centre because of that sort of speed of playing, especially on the break.
Yeah, and I guess the numbers are backing him up, aren't they? I mean, I'd like to see the underlying numbers, but the headline figures are looking pretty good for Mkhitaryan.
Sure.
So the few other things. So after the Basel game, Mourinho very, very critical of his players, saying that I think it was after it went 2-0. It was between the 2-0 and 3-0 that United just switched off, and he said they were trying PlayStation tricks. It was very critical. A very interesting thing, they cut back to the studio on BT Sport, and Frank Lampard, who, whatever you think of him as a human or a pundit, would certainly have some insight into these things, said he thought that was probably just for show. And I thought that was really interesting because he looked like he kind of brushed it off instantly. Lampard did, as if, that doesn't mean anything. And I just thought that was really interesting. Kind of wonder if Mourinho's going back in the dressing room just going, look, this is just how I'm dealing with the kind of public image stuff. None of you lot worry about anything I'm saying. It was kind of interesting to me, that.
Well, Lampard would certainly know Mourinho well.
And Gerrard and Lampard together on BT Sport punditing to great hilarity. one speaks, one stops.
Yeah, that's it. None are particularly effective. I mean,
no, they're both good. Like Steven Gerrard's a good pundit. It's a weird thing to say, but it's true.
Not having it. give me Roy Keane and Paul Scholes any day.
So the other thing that Mourinho did was in the crowd, in the programme notes for the Everton game, was like, he said, I hope our noisy fans are back from their holidays.
Yeah, ouch.
That's a dig. That is
Actually,
a dig.
Old Trafford was bouncing in the early part of today's game. Perhaps went a bit flat in the second half along with the team. But I don't know. We've had that a few times from managers over the years. I'm afraid Old Trafford is what it is. There have been attempts to liven it up, but it is a giant bowl with a lot of day trippers.
And I think we talked about this on the podcast last time, terrible acoustics. I think someone tweeted me during the Basel game going, is this the acoustics too? It's like, no, that was not the acoustics. That was...
Talking of spectacular European atmospheres, did you enjoy FC Cologne fans invading the Emirates? I thought it was quite amusing. And even more amusing was the disgust of John Cross, or UKIP's John Cross, as we ought to really be calling him, from the Mirror, rabid Arsenal fan and hater of them foreigners.
John Cross absolutely losing the run of himself in the aftermath of that game, and lots of people, including Andy Mitten, writing very much the opposite story, that this was almost entirely fine with a couple of little exceptions. I didn't, you asked the question, did I enjoy it? I didn't enjoy it because I am 100% boycotting the Europa League this season. I am not watching any of that. I had to watch the whole thing last season. The Europa League is dead to me.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, it clearly has a mental scar on you, that one. But I did like Arsenal fans getting all upset about it. I mean, of course, look, United have done that to plenty of teams over the years and just invaded. I've been at a few of them, and it's good fun. And I thought Cologne fans were very good-natured. A few scuffles here and there, a few supporters saying they felt intimidated, but that didn't really seem to be the intent. Maybe the fingers, if there are fingers to be pointed, need to be looked at Arsenal, who allowed members to buy 4 tickets each, and they were promptly all solved through touts. Yeah,
to Cologne fans, almost every last one of them. And fingers also need to be pointed at Arsenal for ending up in the Europa League. What kind of self-respecting club does that?
Definitely not if you've got any self-respect. But we don't have to do that anymore because we've got our self-respect back. or something like that.
Just smashing everyone 4-0. 4-0, the standard default result. The absolutely fair and just result of the football match we've all just watched. Inevitable 4-0. I had 4-0 written all over it from start to finish.
Yeah, not quite. But then there's been a few games like that this season. I'd much rather United were just running up 4-0 at half-time and then taking the foot off the gas. They ran up 1-0 at half-time, then took the foot off the gas and fluked 3 goals in the last 3 minutes.
It's not 4-0 yet. We better do something about this. I mean, it's too regular to be coincidental. United have got so many attacking threats now. It is not surprising that once the opposition, especially once it goes to 2-0 and the opposition feel beaten, it's not surprising they're going to drop their intensity a little bit, and you need to keep up your intensity to keep United out most of the time. Even the Stoke game, which last season, we're kind of jokingly keeping a running tally of the amount of points that United are ahead of where they were last season's respective fixtures. I think it's 4 from a possible 6 ahead of where they were so far. And the Stoke game obviously was was the same number of points won. But even then, the fact that we scored 2 and went ahead twice, I mean, it's annoying that I can't remember if we went ahead the first time, but we definitely went 2-1 up. That's quite a lot different to a game where we just laboured and eventually scored a worldie free kick in the last minute, So even that, the individual errors aside, was an improvement of performance.
Yeah. Look, and today's result, perhaps less than the performance, will just add to the confidence again. So, we said at the beginning of the season, actually, it looked like a pretty good fixture list for a few weeks, and United really needed to take advantage. And so far, one set of drop points aside, fully taken advantage of the fixtures. And perhaps we would have seen this one at the beginning of the season as potentially being a tough match. I mean, Everton spent 150 million in the summer, albeit they now no longer have a forward of any quality, which is going to cost them a little bit, and they're integrating 10 new players into the squad. But I think everyone expected them to be a bit better than they are.
They're in the bottom 3 now because of
goal
difference.
Will Koeman survive? I mean, his fellow Dutchman Ronald de Boer over at Crystal Palace got 4 games.
I mean, if you don't mind, I would quite like to talk about that for a minute.
Sure.
Mostly just because of Timothy Fosu-Mensah, who I'm very pleased to see that Roy Hodgson picked in his first game in charge. That's good. Good job that isn't going to cause any problems, apparently, it wouldn't seem. As everyone has said, this is one of 2 things: an absolutely terrible sacking or an absolutely terrible appointment. And I very strongly lead towards the former. Not that Frank de Boer is not potentially a good manager if you want to play that kind of style of football, but the kind of the negligence of giving Sam Allardyce's squad to Frank de Boer, the negligence of having a shortlist that comes down to Roy Hodgson and Frank de Boer, it's just shocking.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked about this before, because we've seen this at United. Where is the pattern there? Right, so where's the vision from the top that says, okay, we want to build a club that looks like this, with an identity that is this, and playing a style of football like this, and within this set of coaching, frameworks. This is clearly a badly run club. If you point Allardyce, and then you point Frank de Boer, and then you point Roy Hodgson, just no commonality at all. So whatever money they spent in the summer, totally wasted, because it was bought to build a squad for Frank de Boer. Well, and now Hodgson's going to have to change it all around and presumably spend a bunch of money in the winter to try and save Palace.
But they hardly spent any money either. This is the other shocking thing. I can't remember which podcast it was that I was listening. It was the Scorker Talker. The only player they signed permanently, I'm pretty sure, was Mamadou Sakho, a player who was bang in the Allardyce mould. It's crazy. It was just what a shocking way to run a club. And in a way, I think the sacking seems absolutely out of its mind. But I really think the flip side of that is more like it's correcting, the appointment was out of its mind, and this is correcting a mistake quickly, because, De Boer deserves better, and he's kind of in trouble, really, reputation-wise.
Yeah, well, he got sacked twice very quickly. Yeah, John Cross, UKIP's John Cross, tweeting after that. De Boer got sacked after X many games at Inter and 4 games at Crystal Palace. But he must be good because he's Dutch, innit?
That's like, people are so... But this is John Cross, who gets annoyed when managers play a back three because football journalists might ask the manager about tactics in the press conference. It's like... He's a silly, silly, silly man.
John Cross is every London cabbie you've ever met.
Well, no, except that he's every North London cabbie you've ever met, because all the West London cabbies are Chelsea fans, aren't they?
Yeah. No, that's it was odd. A couple of other things that were interesting since we last spoke. Did we speak about Jose Mourinho being in goal for the match for Grenfell?
Yes,
we did. All right.
Yeah.
The other one was the change in the Premier League transfer window rules, because we talked about this before and saying, this would be a sensible thing. But of course, the Premier League doing it first has got everyone all hot and bothered. United, one of 4 clubs to vote against it, although Mourinho said it won't make any difference. The big question now is do Bundesliga, La Liga, and Ligue 1 clubs go, this is actually, it's destabilising to have all these rumours and transfers in the middle of the season or part way through the season? Or do they go, well, this is our advantage now, we've got a bit longer to do our business?
I mean, this is the thing. It's like Alexis Sanchez, Philippe Coutinho, all these players that were looking potentially. Well, I guess Alexis Sanchez was supposed to probably move within the Premier League, but the any players that want to move abroad, that option's still open. Of course, the leagues don't start at the same time. So if, say, La Liga says, okay, we're going to do it too, they still start a few weeks later than the Premier League, generally, I believe. So it's a slightly odd thing that it's happened first. I mean, I do think, in a way, it's got to be good for Premier League clubs in the sense of they will go into the season. It will definitely make the first sort of 3 games in the season a bit more meaningful, won't it? Because so far they've often been a sort of almost like a prologue to the league. The kind of games before the window closes in the first international break are kind of a prologue for the actual chapters of the season. But I guess they'll be starting. What do you think? Do you think it's a bit of a self-sabotaging move by the Premier League?
No, I mean, look, in the end, if they don't want to sell players, they don't have to, and players will just get on with it. So I don't think it will be as negative as some people have tried to make out, and hopefully it actually just has this stabilising effect where everyone can just focus on the football rather than who's getting transferred in and out. Because at the moment it does have an impact, Alexis Sanchez not particularly fit. Coutinho only just come back into the side, definitely impacting both of those two teams. Diego Costa, he's going to spend the next 6 months doing nothing, I guess, I particularly enjoy watching those 3 this season. But it could happen to United as well. The whole run up to the David De Gea transfer to Real Madrid a couple of seasons ago, Louis van Gaal decided to drop him. He said his mind wasn't in the right place, and Romelu Lukaku, Sergio Romero let a couple in through his legs against Swansea. Those 2 points really did count at the end of that season as well.
Yeah, they did. They earned us the Europa League title. So cheers, Louis. Good forward thinking.
yeah, exactly. Excellent pattern. Talking to Louis. Complaining this week or last week, I guess. First time he's really spoken out, saying, United went behind his back to sack him, and which of course we all knew. It was pretty brutal how the club behaved, clearly negotiating with Mourinho while holding on to Louis in order to try and do the Mourinho deal, and then as soon as the season was over, booting him out almost before he'd left Wembley.
While he was on the way up the stairs to collect the trophy, that's when the tweet started. I was at Wembley watching him climb those stairs and seeing people go, no, he's been sacked. I was like, this is very happy and sad all at the same time. I mean, he's not wrong, is he? The only thing is he doesn't seem to realise quite how much of it he brought on himself either. That's the only bit
right. I thought it was a bit dramatic, likening it to a lynching in a movie or something like that.
Yeah. But he's a dramatic man, isn't he, Louis?
He is. He is.
He loves a bit of drama. All right, should we take some Rankcast questions? I think the people have missed us. There's a lot of questions, Ed. So thanks to everyone who's asked questions. And sorry if we
very good. Hopefully we can give some decent answers other than that's not the incoherent rambling nonsense that we've just provided for the last 30 minutes.
At Lentorp, Cale Duper says, that's a spoonerism for Dale Cooper. I get references. Is Tony Martial the single greatest penalty taker in the history of football? Yes. Yeah. Tony Martial is the single greatest everything in the history of football. I'm so...
And you don't think he's ever missed a penalty?
How many has he taken?
6 or 7 over his career.
Right,
something like that.
Then yeah. A friend of the show at Vikash Patel, who came to the meetup in London, says, is this the year Big Dave finally wins the Golden Glove award he so badly deserves? It could be. I mean, we are going to keep a lot of clean sheets this season, I guess. It seems like. We have kept a lot of clean sheets so far this season.
You have done, yeah. I mean, if Jones and Bailly's mistakes are isolated to single games, on a wet Tuesday night at Stoke or whatever.
Bailly trying to do a clearance, like some outrageous clearance with the outside of his foot, and then sort of like spilling around towards the end of the Everton game. It was really good. I love Eric Bailly. There was the bit where I think it was Rooney that he fouled. And it was one of the most deserved yellow cards you've ever seen because Bailly kind of came herring out. This was at 1-0. And Rooney's sort of retreating with the ball back into his half. And Bailly's like, right, I am really out of position here. And he's very capable of switching this play and exploiting the situation. So I'm just going to kick him right now because it's all I can do.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I mean, he's always good value, Eric Bailly.
The other thing is that we missed talking about in terms of general world of football is all the people saying that Sadio Mane's kicking Ederson in the face wasn't a red card.
He took the guy's head off. I mean, yeah, just for the sake of player safety. It's
going
it's a genuine attempt for the ball and his face.
Let's just... Oh, dear. If you don't think that was a red card, then A, you just don't understand the rules. It's really simple. It's really straightforward. That is absolutely, without any shadow of a doubt, a red card offence, given the current interpretation of the laws of the games. If you don't think it should be a red card and that the rules should change, then, I mean, good luck to you. Go and watch Rollerball instead, where somebody can take someone's head off freely. Anyway, and Rollerball, not a real sport, but there is a movie. There's 2. There's the original and the remake. Knock yourself out. Friend of mine, if not friend of the show, he's friend of the show. At Dom Nozick says, given that the new signings have had time to settle in, can we assess the squad a bit more fairly now? And we can assess the squad a bit more fairly now. So subsequently, who is the best looking? There's some lookers in United's side, I'd say.
There?
Like Lukaku, Martial, little Juan Mata with his little little face. Take him home.
Yeah, no, I think Juan Mata's the kind of bloke who's every girl's best friend, though, isn't he?
Yeah, the best look is Phil Jones. We'll move on from that one. At A Gaskell 88 says, how many ankles is Tony Martial going to break this season? Just all of them. Don't be a defender with ankles near Tony Martial.
Phil Jones, just to come back to your previous answer, a man with a permanent O face.
Just got too much skin on his face. That's all it is. It's really simple. At the _itch 1980 says, have salt and vinegar Pringles got stronger recently, or has my tolerance dropped? I haven't had a salt and vinegar Pringle for a long time, but I'm going to say you're getting old, Chris.
I have no idea.
At Kriakad, I had a question on your thoughts on Rooney's performance, #agenda, #rankcast, but we've already covered that.
We have.
You did not disappoint. Okay, we've kind of done this one before, but we'll just do it very briefly. At Oye Creations, another friend of the show, been listening for a long time as Oye, says, can you please explain what XG means? Looks like Match of the Day are following your lead in using XG stats
I don't
this
think
season.
we can take any credit for that. We're not leading anything on that. Yeah, XG is just a mathematical calculation of the expected number of goals the team or a player may score based on the number of shots they take and where they take them from.
Yeah, and
the difficulty of said shots.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not an exact science by any stretch of the imagination, because like stuff like most through balls are created equally, are treated equally, crosses are treated equally. I'm not sure how much goalkeeper's positioning is taken into account. So it's not an exact science, but I definitely do think I've never looked at an XG map once and thought it didn't somewhat accurately reflect the balance of a game, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a debating point, but I think that's all stats in sport. In football in particular, it's so dynamic, it's more difficult. That's why it's taken a long time and a lot of evolution in analytical thinking, and the technologies for tracking and measuring this have been improving over time. So, baseball's obviously been a nerd's paradise for many years. Stats nerds are getting into football much more, and some clubs have been very forward about opening up their data and using sort of data science competitions in order to further what's going on. Manchester City in particular have been doing that, but I think XG is a nice guide.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that kind of rail against any use of statistics in football, the kind of people that for whom it lessens their enjoyment. I've always felt a little bit like, just ignore it, it's fine. Like, for some people it's interesting, but there are also people who come at XG from the other side, which is the kind of that it is not scientific enough, that it's kind of too rough a model to be used in a serious way. So that's it. The great XG debate will rumble on and on, but clearly for the moment it has crept into the mainstream. But as Ed said, definitely nothing to do with us. At Abdularg says, was that the most underwhelming 4-0 performance ever? No, there's never an underwhelming 4-0 performance. But at Mark_Pud also says, was that our worst 4-0 win of the season so far?
Well, I tell you what, it looked great on the Match of the Day highlights tonight. Not so great over the full 90 minutes, but I don't know whether it was the most underwhelming. But and it wasn't underwhelming. It was just not a great performance. It was a sort of 7 out of 10 performance.
Yeah.
That might be generous. But, you score 4 goals, you can't complain.
At Raj Player, who I met outside Old Trafford before the Leicester game, said that Graham Souness said he thinks opponents would rather face Pogba than Fellaini. Thoughts? Yeah. He also said he voted for Brexit and is generally just a bitter, grumpy old man who doesn't like flair players, essentially.
Or anybody. Yeah. Life itself.
Yeah. At Craig88, Taylor says, can we keep riding our luck like we did today? And I think that is a really interesting question, because it sort of speaks to preconceptions in a way, because you could very strongly argue that Everton massively, massively rode their luck to even be in that game at half-time. So, yeah, we definitely rode our luck between the 45th and 75th minutes of that game. And we definitely don't want to be doing that too often. But we did create lots and lots and lots of chances. And even though, funnily enough, talking about XG, I bet Everton's XG number is quite high in that game. But if you look at all of their really good chances, De Gea was very well positioned for all of them. Yeah,
he was. And he made a couple of good saves when he needed to, although none that you would have expected him not to make. Yeah. What about Valencia's shot? Peter Schmeichel on my particular version of the football service I get, saying absolutely no chance that he could have saved it, although it was directly in the middle of the goal.
I don't know. What do you think? I'm not massively a fan of Peter Schmeichel as a pundit. Presumably he knows what he's talking about.
He does, yeah. Goalkeepers Union, though, isn't it? He cliche. Pickford's taking a step to the left. Clearly expecting a cross to come in rather than Valencia to absolutely leather it. So that step to the left has probably cost him a chance of getting his hand on the ball. That said, he's hit it so hard and so clean. That's why he's beaten the keeper. So, it would be harsh to say a mistake, although I do wonder whether an even better goalkeeper, like the one down the other end, might have done something with it.
Oh, that was the most brutal thing about the Stoke game. Because De Gea made that save, which was, it's got a lot of competition just from De Gea. But it's got to be one of the best saves I've ever seen in my life. And then they scored from the corner that resulted from the save. And that was really, really annoying because that save deserved better.
Yeah. I mean, great praise for that one. I'm sure it'll be one of the ones we remember in years to come. And that's David De Gea all over, isn't it? The sort of reflexes, positioning, strength of hand, and all of that.
Loads and loads and loads of questions about Pogba, Fellaini, and Herrera, but I feel like we've kind of covered this. But there's a very controversial question here from Victor_Munoz_, who says he always wanted to know who creates player chants and who agrees to them. Falcao's was horrible, in my opinion. Falcao's chant is, I don't know, it's my favourite chant at Old Trafford in the last 5 years. Yeah, definitely. And generally it is a group of different people. There are various different people, and who agrees to them is just whether they catch on. They tend to start at away games, or they'll start in J stands now. And they used to just be printed in red issue back in the day. Actually, we had a question from a friend of the show, Mark Thompson, after we'd recorded the podcast last week about that too. So there you go, double duty for that. At Afbokari 1984 says, last time it was late for the podcast, but worth mentioning again. Jose going open collar, but this time he undid the top 2 buttons. That's how relaxed he is. But he's still looking smart. He still hasn't gone tracksuit, and I think that's got to be a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, last season he went wino, didn't he? Hadn't shaved for weeks and started looking like he'd got some, spare United trackies out of the local Oxfam.
We had a question which I've now lost about shirt sleeve sponsors. Wayne Rooney with a deeply ironic Angry Birds on his arm. Shirt sleeve sponsors is super depressing and super inevitable, and obviously United will have one. There was a rumour earlier that it was going to be Tinder, which would have been...
definitely swipe left on that one. Is it right? I'm not sure. I actually don't know.
I literally don't know, but we'll definitely swipe whichever is the one where you don't like the thing.
Yeah. It's a slippery slope, isn't it? They're going to be looking like F1 drivers in a few years' time. Everything everywhere, plastered.
Yeah, in Finland, in the Finnish league, they do that now, and it looks absolutely terrible. I remember watching, also, they do it in Norway too, because I remember watching Mulder when Ole was flying with them. They had an awful lot of shirt sponsors on their shirts. All right, well, that's a ton of questions. We've got a ton more. I'm sorry we can't get to all of them, but we have to finish this show at a relatively okay hour. And we've got to do some sort of preview of United's upcoming fixtures. Ed, tell me everything you know about Burton Albion, who we play on Wednesday in the Carabao Cup.
I'm sorry. I'm not calling it that. I just refuse. It's the Milk Cup or the League Cup, and nothing else.
I went to the National Football Museum over the summer, and they've got the Milk Cup on display, and it was one heck of a trophy, the Milk Cup was. They were not messing around. They really wanted to advertise milk.
Burton, yeah, just delaying here because I don't really know anything about them. Nigel Clough is still the manager, I do know that. Back for his second or third spell in charge, whatever it is, can't remember.
He's done a great job with that club, like a kind of a somewhat miraculous job, really.
Yeah. Didn't they get relegated last season, or did they make it? Did they survive? Can't remember.
They're in the championship this season.
They survived. Then they were right down the bottom. Yeah, maybe they were.
Unless I'm really confused and they got relegated from the Premier League, but I'm almost 100% sure that didn't happen. Yeah.
No, pretty sure that didn't happen. No, okay, they finished a spot off relegation. Yeah, I mean, yes, he's done this was a non-league club not too long ago, wasn't it? So, 2009 when they got into the Football League, and Nigel Clough's been a huge part of that. Left to manage Forest for a while, Derby, where he sort of failed and came back. Capacity at that ground is sort of 6,000. This is a team that ought not to be in the Championship, let alone playing at Old Trafford. So they'll have a good day in the League Cup and all of that.
I'm interested to see who they've got. They've got QPR away, so I'm not sure that they're going to because I think it was Mick McCarthy that came and played a second string with Ipswich last season. No, the season before last. I don't think we're going to see a second string team from Burton because they just beat Fulham, which is by far their best result of the season so far. Fulham, one of the Championship's most sort of elegant sides. And Burton beat them 2-1, which was, I think, only their second win of the season so far. A pretty eye-catching result. That their previous win was over Harry Redknapp's Birmingham City, who are no longer Harry Redknapp's Birmingham City because Harry Redknapp's been sacked from Birmingham City, which could not have happened to a nicer man.
Ouch. I wonder if Harry Redknapp got paid last season. He probably did get paid last season for keeping them in the division. He said he wouldn't get paid if they got relegated, so I'm guessing he got his bonus. Bye-bye, Harry. Burton, I don't know a lot about them. Sorry about this. They've got some experience, Premier League experience anyway. Stephen Bywater, the goalkeeper. Stephen Warnock, the ex-Liverpool defender. Luke Varney's also played in the Premier League.
Who for? That was mean. There was no need. There was no need for me to do that, Ed. I apologise.
He was at Blackburn a few years back.
Right. That doesn't really count as Premier League, though. Nobody in their squad has scored more than one league goal this season. There's a good fact for you. So they clearly share the goals around.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, even the keeper. Yeah. Okay, so something we do know more about. What kind of team are United going to play? I mean, I presume that Mourinho is going to rotate really heavily.
I mean, the big question is,
as far as he can.
Yeah, does anyone outside of the regular first team squad get games? So are we going to see some of the players that played in the game against Palace at home at the end of last season? Obviously, we're not going to see Josh Harrop since he's at Preston North End now, but Demi Mitchell has not gone on loan, has he, as far as I know?
No, he didn't. He's in the reserves. It's spectacular, a game for the under-18s the other night. Did you see that one where they came back from 3-0 down to win 4-3 against Arsenal?
Yeah, Angel Gomez was...
I wonder whether he could be on the fringe of the League Cup squad.
He could be. I mean, if Mourinho is going to do it, this has got to be the game he does it in, hasn't it? Because... chances are the next one's going to be more tricky. I mean, I guess, a championship side, you would think maybe you've got to play a few more first-teamers in, but Burton really are barely a championship side, aren't they? They're they're something like 5th or 6th bottom in the championship now, and they finished just above relegation last time, like you said. So kind of that kind of hinterland between a championship club and a League One club. I wonder whether Scott McTominay, who is training with the first team, as far as we know.
James Wilson, is he back fit?
I think he is back fit, apparently. He's in the Champions League squad, but we've all clicked that button on Championship Manager that says autofill, and it gives a Championship squad place to someone you've literally never heard of because you needed a homegrown player to fill out the numbers.
Yeah. So, I mean, of the players who are currently in the reserves who would be in with a shout of getting a game in this one, obviously Wilson, Mitchell, McTominay, you've said. Maybe Matt Olasunde, who's done really well for the reserves. Joe Riley's obviously played first-team football before. And the rest of them are super, super young, I'd say. But, you never know. Some of the younger players might get a go. I mean, Angel Gomez got to be within a shout as well. I mean, he's already made his United debut. Could he get a game?
Did Matty Willock stay at the club as well?
I don't think so. I think he went off to Utrecht.
Yeah, that's right.
In Holland, didn't he? Yeah. Which is probably a good move for him. A full year, learn the way of the world and all that. They used to send players off to Antwerp years ago, if you remember. John O'Shea spent a year there, and so did Darren Fletcher. Not Darren Fletcher. Johnny Evans, the world's 5th best central defender.
I think that's just about accurate. The thing about it is, you're right, it is good for him, but Matty Willock is a player I desperately want to see make at least one appearance for United, just because he got so close at the back end of last season. Axel Tuanzebe, there is a player that we should see in this game. Talking of players who were involved at the back end of last season, I'd almost be surprised if Tuanzebe didn't play in this one. None of the others I'd be particularly surprised if they were or weren't involved, but he's one that I think you.
No, I mean, there's a few players who need games, so Smalling could do with some games. Carrick has Carrick had a game this season?
No,
maybe,
I don't think so.
Some time. Tuanzebe, as you said, Romero hasn't played.
He'll definitely play, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, and Herrera not had a lot of football, so there are players who need some minutes.
It could be like a really good run out for Herrera, and then we could see him perhaps be involved against Southampton at the weekend. So, all right, I'm gonna speculate a team: Romero, Daley Blint, because he didn't play today, he wasn't even on the bench, I don't think. Tuanzebe, Smalling. That sounds terrible, but it's possible. Darmian. There you go. And then
when he games, Victor Lindelof needs football as well.
Yeah. Victor Lindelof. So Tuanzebe is going to play, but he's going to play right back, Lindelof and Smalling. There you go. So Blint, Smalling, Lindelof, Tuanzebe is the back four. Carrick and Herrera in the middle. He always plays like one first teamer in these things. Who's it going to be?
Well, Martial could do with the game too.
Martial. He might play Lukaku, actually. That might be the one that he might just keep playing Lukaku. Martial, Lukaku. We haven't really got... Who have we got that could play in those attacking spots that isn't a regular? You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see him play Martial and Rashford, just because he might feel confident that he can try it in this game. And I feel like that is a combination that we would like to see. Anyway, something like that. Something like that.
Yeah, only got 10 players in that side, but well done.
What matter? There you go. He's another footballer. And then after that, Southampton, and I think the team will be much the same as it was today. It would be interesting to see what he does with Herrera and Fellaini over the long term of Pogba's injury, if there is indeed a long term of Pogba's injury, which we very much hope there won't be. Southampton, they won at the weekend against Crystal Palace, but they've had a deeply average start to the season. That's only their second win, their other one being a kind of 3-2 against West Ham, where they nearly chucked it, thanks to Cheech doing some things with goals on that. But they lost to Wolves in the League Cup. Obviously, they weren't really trying, but still. Draw to Huddersfield, lost at home to Watford. And Crystal Palace have been in such terrible form, you can't really read too much into that win. So, I mean, I'm reluctant to say all this because it kind of feels like it's just leading to them having got it all together to face United. But really and truly, he should play a very attacking team and go and try and win this game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they've had all sorts of problems with Southampton. Obviously, a lot of departures over recent seasons, change of manager, Virgil van Dijk, desperate to leave, finally made the bench against Palace. Don't think he came on. Or maybe he came on really late, something like that. Not the team of 2 years ago. I don't think they're going to end up in sort of relegation trouble or anything like that. They do have plenty of quality in that team, but they're sort of building again. This is probably not a team that's going to finish sort of, what was it, 8th? They finished a couple of seasons ago, something like that. I mean, a lot of talk of Southampton being one of the clubs that is well run with a structure and a pattern of appointing managers, and they sort of took a step back under Claude Puel, didn't they?
They did, but Jesse Lingard, by the way, that's the 11th player in the team that I picked earlier. They did take a step back under Claude Puel, but in a way it was like it's inevitable that step back was coming, because prior to that they'd finished, like since they were in League Two, they'd finished in a higher league position every season since. So like every season back in the Premier League, they finished higher than they had done the season before, and they really did reach their ceiling when they finished 8th. You can't imagine them really breaking into the top 7, given that however well run you are, if you lose your best players every summer, or even if you lose your best players every other summer, you're still going to... And whenever you have a manager who does really well, they get picked off by one of the bigger teams. Right. It's almost like what happened to Swansea, isn't it? Everyone was kind of praising Swansea for being so well run, but they almost kind of ran out of managers that could apply that style of play. And it feels a little bit like that with Southampton, although obviously we don't know how well Pellegrino will do.
Yeah, and even wrapping your head around the fact that their manager is Mauricio Pellegrino, not Manuel Pellegrini or Mauricio Pochettino. I mean, mind-blowing.
It's tough. No doubt. It is tough.
Especially for Paul Merson. Or John Cross.
Or Nigel Farage. That's enough cultural Marxism for one episode. Right. I think that'll do, won't it? I think that might be enough podcast for one episode. What do you reckon?
Wow, I think it might be. Somehow we've managed to babble on for an hour about almost nothing. Talking of shows about almost nothing, Curb Your Enthusiasm coming back very soon.
I've been watching some old Curb to get ready for it. The episode where they get the Chinese food orders mixed up and the guy steals his shrimp. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, Curb Your Enthusiasm is.
Yes. My favourite, maybe, My Beloved Aunt.
I would have thought you'd have been a Step Counts man myself.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back same time next week. Stay tuned for more Rantcast. Everyone else, have a lovely week. I guess we have to predict the scores. 7-0 against Burton and 4-0 against Southampton.
Yeah, that's definitely going to happen. You know, I'm going to just say 4-0 against Burton because...
Okay. Yeah,
and Southampton, away at Southampton. I'm not going to win 4-0 there. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory.
It's Manchester United. Winning 4-0 is what we do.
Yeah, just not against Southampton.
No, perhaps not. All right, let's hope we do, though. And either way, we'll be back after that game to talk about the podcast. We're back to talk about the football. We're back on the same time zone, so it should be doable. We tried our best to keep it going while Ed was on the West Coast, and it finally defeated us in the final week of that trip. Lovely to have you back in the country, Ed, and we'll be back to talk about all this football same time next week.
See you then. I'm off to find a sunbed because I've had about 35 days of constant sunshine. See you. Bye now.
Very, 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 very long.
The Rantcast is produced by Tom Jenkins and supported by listeners like you. Head to patreon.com/Rantcast to find out more.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.